I'm Rabbi Jay Karzan,
And I'm Rabbi Neil Brief
and Tape with Rabbi Doug is next.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're gonna watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug. Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We are here today in Skokie, Illinois, and I'm with my good friend and colleague, Rabbi Neil Brief. Rabbi Brief, welcome to the show. It is a pleasure to have you back on the show after many years of not being on with me. And how are you feeling and how are you?
Better when I see you, Doug.
Oh, you're very nice. You're very nice. Rabbi Neil Brief is the Rabbi Emeritus of Niles Township Jewish Congregation, now known as Niles Township Ezra Habonim. And he's been in the rabbinate for how many years? How long ago did you get your ordination? 60 years.
1960.
Wow.
Yesterday.
Just yesterday. And I grew up with his children. We were in youth group together, so I've known him for many years. As a matter of fact, when I was in yeshiva in 1980, Rabbi Brief was there with his wife with the tour, and I went and visited them in their hotel just to say hello and had a very warm greeting and blessing from him at that time.
In Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. People don't know Rabbi Brief, sometimes known as Rabbi Not So Brief, because you could talk to him for hours. He is an amazing scholar, a wit. I've always enjoyed every time I've heard him speak, whether it was at a funeral or a wedding. He always has some words of wisdom to share, and I thought having him on the show alone today, rather than sharing the moments with other people on the show as he's done before in the past, we could get a chance to talk to him and know a little bit more about him personally. His late wife Erica, of blessed memory, whom we loved, who was also a teacher at Hillel Torah North Suburban Day School, at Erie Crown Hebrew Day School, and the Rebbetzin at Niles Township. An amazing couple. They led marriage encounter for many years, and so many other things. Religious children, observant children. Just amazing things have come from this family and from this home and from Rabbi Brief. And Rabbi Brief, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the rabbinate? What made you decide to go to rabbinical school? And what was your upbringing in Judaism yourself? Because our viewers don't know those things.
Three good questions. First of all, I was always Jewish.
Yes, you were.
And I was very proud of being Jewish. And my bar mitzvah, which took place 73 years ago at this time, made a deep impression upon me. I was bar mitzvah on Parshat Noach, which is my...
Oh, this is your bar mitzvah Parsha week, which you shared with my daughters, two of my daughters, right. And you were at their Benot Mitzvah.
Benot Mitzvah, right.
Both of them.
It's a pleasure, Rabbi Doug, to be with you and your mishpacha and to know the whole family and to celebrate and to share many wonderful people in common.
And your wife taught my daughters at Erie Crown too, which makes it another
Crown and Hillel Torah.
Yes.
And also Am Yisrael, where she taught
for Hebrew school
for 31 years.
In Northfield, Hebrew school, yes. Right. Yes, I also taught there bar mitzvah for a period of time.
Wow.
So how did you get into it?
Well, let's put it this way. I always enjoyed leading people in whatever it was doing. I was very active in public high school. I took Hebrew in high school. I was president of the general organization.
Where did you live?
In Brooklyn, New York, in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn, and I attended Jefferson High School in East New York, which was one of the first schools to teach Hebrew as a language, comparable to Spanish and French and whatever other language. And I took the Regents in Hebrew. I loved Hebrew as a language, and I had some wonderful teachers who were pioneers in Hebrew education in the public schools, as well as in the Hebrew schools. I went to a Hebrew high school, Marshali Hebrew High School, after bar mitzvah, when many of my fellow friends dropped out after bar mitzvah. That was the end of their Judaism. And I learned that there was much more to Judaism than simply a bar mitzvah. Although a bar mitzvah could be a very significant occasion, it could be a motivating factor. I was bar mitzvah in 1947, 6 weeks before the Palestine partition voted in the United Nations.
Wow.
It was November the 29th. I was bar mitzvah October the 18th.
Wow.
And I remember being at an uncle's home, and he was very much of a Zionist, and how much that experience meant to him. And I remember seeing him off on the west side of Chicago, well, west side of New York, because having lived in Chicago for 50 years,
Sure.
I think like a Chicagoan, but I have to remember the first 26 years of my life were in Brooklyn. And I remember seeing him off on a boat where he went to see the relatives who had gone to Israel and then Palestine in the 20s and reconnected with cousins, etc., etc. His love of Zionism, that of my mother's love of Zionism, the family being particularly devoted to Israel, to the state, to the people, to the community, all brought out the Judaism in me. And I decided after Hebrew high school that I would continue my education. I was at the Jewish Theological Seminary, and then I was at the Hebrew College. The Jewish Theological Seminary was just a little too far for me on a train ride all the way from Brownsville. So I switched to Hebrew College, which was only twice a week in addition to my undergraduate work at NYU. And for 9 years, from 51 to 60, I earned a college degree at NYU and a rabbinical ordination at Hebrew College, Jewish Institute of Religion, went into the Army as a chaplain, went to Arizona, went to California, and I've been here in Illinois for the past 50 years.
Amazing. Now, how did you and Erica meet?
That's a story in itself. In 1955, I was selected to be a young Judean leader going to Israel. I was one of 14 from all over the United States. And Erica was one from Memphis, I was from Long Island, and we were on a ship on the SS Arts, on one of the 3 ships in Israel at the time of its founding, 7 years of age. And I remember seeing an Israeli flag on a ship in Marseille after a flight from Kennedy and then Idlewild Airport to Paris overnight by train to Marseille, and then a 6-day a 6-day boat ride through the Mediterranean onto arriving in Haifa, Israel on July 12, 1955.
Amazing.
And Eric and I were there, and we became friendly, and we traveled together with our group. And after she went back to Memphis, where she was the director of the Memphis Young Judea, we continued our correspondence and calls and candy. I went to see her in Pesach of 1956 in Memphis. She came up to be at Tel Yehuda as an arts and crafts counselor in the summer of 56. And after 56, we became engaged and we married subsequently in June of 1957.
Wow, and you two were on a cruise when she became ill, and you met
Unfortunately.
on a cruise, you met on a ship. What a shared thing in your lives,
Oh.
that water and ships had a lot to do with your lives together.
She came over from Germany, fortunately, with her father, and I still have the ship masthead
Wow.
listing her father and mother and her 2 sisters. The 5 of them fortunately got out of Germany in March of 1938.
One that just passed away a week before we're taping,
Yes.
amazingly.
Joanne, the youngest of the 3 sisters. Selma in California. Joanne now buried alongside of Erica at Shalom Memorial Park.
So this amazing story, and your 3 beautiful children, like I said, all close to my age, and we all know each other. So how did you get into the rabbinate as far as a profession? You know, you were a chaplain in the Army. Where did you get your first pulpit?
My first, actually, while I was a student at Hebrew College, Jewish Institute of Religion in New York, I served a congregation as a student rabbi in Framingham, Massachusetts, from 1956 to 1957. It was a bi-weekly. I was up there every other weekend in addition to the high holy days. And then Eric and I married, and we had a honeymoon congregation on weekends in Wayne, New Jersey for 3 years. So between those 2 student pulpits and then the chaplaincy in Arizona, we went to California, where I was the rabbi for 9 years in Ventura County between Los Angeles and Santa
I know
Barbara.
Ventura County well. My parents, before they moved to the Valley in Los Angeles, when they moved from Chicago, were living in Thousand Oaks area, which is Ventura County.
Yes.
And so very, very interesting. And what was the name of that congregation?
In Ventura. It was called the Ventura County Jewish Council, and we gave it the Hebrew name of Temple Beth Torah.
And was it in Ventura proper?
In the city of Ventura, which
very
was
nice.
the county seat for Ventura County, which was the 13th largest county of the 58 counties in the state of California.
Very, very
I
interesting.
never thought I would ever leave California, but this unique opportunity came along when Mordecai Kaplan, who was the founder of Reconstructionism, was celebrating his 90th birthday, and someone who was instrumental in organizing the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College in Philadelphia sought me out and asked me to come to Skokie. I never heard of Skokie before, but he taught me about it, taught me about the nice people. I was in Ventura for 9 years. No previous rabbi, 5 previous rabbis had served longer than 3 years. We served 9 years there. I became very active in the Southern California Board of Rabbis. I was a chaplain at Lompoc. I taught at the University of California at Santa Barbara, and that was the West.
And then they found you to replace someone, didn't
Yes.
they?
Their founding rabbi was a Sidney Jacobs,
Right.
who was ordained at the Jewish Institute of Religion in 1946, 2 years before it merged with the Hebrew Union College in Cincinnati to become Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, with Nelson Glick as its president.
And he was the person who left under circumstances that we don't want to talk about, but you came and took his place.
Yes.
Very nice.
He was the rabbi here for 18 years,
And how many years was it before you retired that you were there?
33 years.
33 years in retiring. Wow.
From 71 to 2000.
And you're still the Rabbi Emeritus and attend there as well today.
17 years.
Very, very nice.
So it's 50 years.
So, Rabbi Brief, as I mentioned, you can speak off the cuff better than almost any rabbi I've ever met. And you're an expert at gematria numerology and taking dates and times and places and putting them into Divrei Torah better than anyone I've ever known. It's something I've always admired about you. So let me tell you, today is
The
20th of October, and the Hebrew date is
Today it's the 2nd of Cheshvan.
the 2nd of Cheshvan, exactly. What is the significance of these dates today?
Well, let me put it this way. The 2nd of Cheshvan is between my mother's yurtzeit on Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, the 1st of Cheshvan, and my mother-in-law's yurtzeit, the 3rd of Cheshvan.
Wow.
So what's interesting is they gave me an aliyah at the synagogue this past Shabbat, and I remembered my mother's 41st yurtzeit, my mother-in-law's my mother-in-law's yurtzeit, because she was the one that said to Erica, "Don't let him go. He's a good boy. He'll make a good husband." 58 years, so that's 41 and 58 together. That adds up to 99. And if you do English gematria, A is 1 and Z is 26. 99 is Illinois.
Wow.
And if you add a cousin of mine who was a classmate of Anna Frank's in Amsterdam, Erica's first cousin,
Really?
Nicholas Schloss, he died here coming to celebrate my 65th birthday, so it's his 21st yurtzeit. Now, so if you add the 99 and the 21, you get 120. So we wish everybody bis 120 years.
Amazing. As I mentioned, I knew you'd pull something out of
But
it.
you know what Mordecai Kaplan would always say? Someone wished him 120 years. At 92 years of age, he said, "We live in an age of inflation. Wish me 150 years."
There you go. There you go. Wonderful, wonderful. So, amazingly, we're taping at the time of Parshat Noach this week,
Right.
the story of Noah, the second portion of the Torah. We're just into the new month, the second day of Mar Cheshvan. Tell me a little bit of Noach while we're here. It was your bar mitzvah parsha, as you mentioned,
Yes.
and such a significant, probably, if not one of the most well-known story from the Torah
Right.
is the story of Noah and his 3 sons and his wife in the flood. And tell me some divrei Torah of this to share with our viewers, because I know you have so much.
The amazing thing is Noah had 3 sons. And each one of the sons, after the flood subsided,
Shem, Ham, and Yafet.
right, became the forerunner of the 3 continents then known to humanity. Shem became the forerunner of Asia.
Whom we are the descendants of.
And anybody who's against anyone from Asia is an anti-Semite.
Right.
Not just against Jews, against anybody.
Anti-Semite, right.
Yes.
That's why
And
we get the
then
name Semite.
Japheth is Europe, and Ham is Asia, is Africa.
Africa.
So that's why some people don't like the word hamburger, because it refers to eating up somebody from Africa.
Very interesting.
So the 3 sons are very significant, and I'm blessed with 3 children. My oldest daughter lives in Massachusetts. My middle child, my one and only son, lives in Israel, and my daughter lives in Florida. So they've extended me north, south, and east.
Wow.
Eretz Israel.
Very, very.
My son lives in Modin, between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv.
Famous as we are approaching in just a few weeks, Hanukkah. And as this show is airing, next week it's Hanukkah after the show is airing. So how significant.
Yes, because to me, my son is a modern day Maccabee.
Right.
And he's blessed me with 6 of my 10 grandchildren.
Kananahar.
And one of my special friends in Israel is the rabbi who influenced you, namely Rabbi Jay Carson.
My rabbi who I grew up with as well.
Jay and Ruby Carson, beautiful friends of mine.
And the very first time I met you was with Rabbi Carson,
Yes.
actually, when I was very young. So how
Younger.
significant. When I was much younger. Much younger. Very, very interesting. So tell me, when someone has been in the rabbinate for so long, is it hard to retire? Because not only are you retiring from being on the pulpit and speaking every week and doing all those things, which sometimes can be a relief because you have to prepare so much all week long, but you're retiring from leading a flock. Mm-hmm. It's hard to retire from leading a flock. As someone once said to me, you never heard of the leaders in the Torah or in the Tanakh, in the Bible, retiring from leading their flock. They did it to the very end. Today we retire from leading our flock at a certain point. Was it very hard for you?
Well, it's a challenge, but I'm glad that my wife encouraged me to step aside and to let someone come in as I was turning 70. And I had a very nice retirement for 10 years while my wife was very much alive. We did a lot of good things together.
Yes, you did.
We traveled. We served communities on ships for 11 years, 11 high holy name pulpits. And then we also did some Hanukkah and some Pesach
trips.
And it was a very fine experience.
A lot of experiences.
The high holy days were always a pressure because there was so many people that wanted different things and this and that. A lot of dynamics.
We call it shul politics.
Yes. No business like shul business.
No business like shul business. I know it well.
No business like show business.
Yeah.
But that's where we've been. We've been together. We were one of the few congregational rabbis that showed up at the communal Holocaust observance, which was very important.
Yes, you and I together have shared that for many years.
At Skokie Valley.
At Skokie Valley, as it was.
It saddened me because I always felt comfortable in everybody else's shul as well as my own.
Yeah.
In other words, I didn't feel my own was exclusively for me. It belonged to the community. And every synagogue in this community belonged to the community.
Absolutely.
It was an island. They weren't all islands unto themselves.
Absolutely.
Respective fiefdoms.
I love that, and I love that attitude, and I agree with it 100%. Tell me, go ahead.
And I would always say, if somebody asked me if I was talking to someone, is that person a member of your synagogue? I would say everybody's a member of my synagogue, but I don't want to sound chutzpahdik or possessive. But I say, thank God there are people like you who pay dues and keep it going. Because it takes a lot of dues to keep it.
It does take a lot of donations, a lot of people, a lot of expenses. Tell me, in your studies over the years, and you studied for so many years in multiple rabbinical schools, and still studying as an adult, and I know today you had something today. What is your favorite subject to study, whether it's Torah, Tanakh, Talmud, Shulchan Aruch? What is your favorite thing to study, or is it reading scholarly things? What do you like to study nowadays the most? And what do you think is most significant?
Everything I can, from the Jewish newspapers to the weekly Torah portion to commentaries. There's a wonderful TV program called Jewish Broadcasting Service with Mark Golub, Rabbi Mark Golub out of New York. And last night he had David Brooks and Jonathan Sachs together discussing different aspects of Judaism.
We wish Jonathan Sachs, the chief rabbi, Emeritus, a refuah shlema.
Yes, very sad to hear that he's going to be battling cancer.
Yeah.
He's such a remarkable person.
He's been on my show before at APEC.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Remarkable person, very accessible, very open, very dynamic. One of my heroes.
And just my TV show that aired just 2 weeks ago has the current chief rabbi of the UK on, Rabbi Mervis. And he's on my show. So Rabbi Sachs is an amazing person. So your favorite thing you told me was history to study. Why? What is the significance of history being so important in studying Jewish
Because
texts?
I think if people know nothing else, they should know that there's more to Judaism than just one particular civilization. One should understand that Judaism is a continuum. It's an ongoing, evolving history throughout the ages. And there's no one epoch alone. Although we consider the Bible the foundation, it's not the be-all and end-all. And when I went to Cheder, which I did as a youngster, we were always in the Bible alone, but we didn't know anything more about Talmud or medieval history. I learned about Maimonides in world history in public high school.
Wow.
In other words, there was so much more. And then in my travels, I've been to Poland, to Krakow, where I learned about the Ramu, the Mappa, the tablecloth, to Joseph Cairo's Shulchan Aruch. And I've been to Israel, and I value the history of Hebron to Jerusalem to Tiberias to Tzfat, how they're a historical progression.
Sure.
And Jews have lived everywhere. I've been to Istanbul, and I've been to Amsterdam, and I've been to Spain. I mean, there's so much to Jewish history.
You visit the Jewish communities and the history of the Jews in those countries.
Oh yes, I've led 7 synagogue pilgrimages to Israel, and I've been an unofficial tour guide, and I've taken groups to Spain and to Eastern Europe and to Scandinavia and also to China.
Wow.
We've had some wonderful experiences in China.
Wow.
To think of the Jewish community of Kaifeng, from the medieval history from 1100 to 1860.
Amazing. So you grew up in New York, as you mentioned, and went to public school.
No, we never said New York. We always said Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn, right?
Because Brooklyn was the world.
And went to public school, mostly, many Jewish kids in your class growing up and everything. Tell me about the original Yom Ha'atzmaut. Tell me about 1948, your memories of Israel becoming a state. Tell me a little bit about what those memories are to you, because you experienced it.
Great pride in the fact that Jews were becoming a people once more in its own land, to take the words of Hatikva and to see them what's actualized, not just words alone, but actualization. The dynamic of seeing it become real. The faith in the act helping become the act. The amazing thing that, for example, one of the most beautiful prayers is right after the Bakashot of the Amidah. There's a prayer to return us, to return us to Jerusalem. And then I always like to say Hamachazir Shechinato, and I add the Amol Letzion, who returns not only his presence, but the presence exemplified through the people to Zion.
Very nice.
Stay tuned. Taped with Rabbi Doug will be right back.
אני מתחייב לא לדון אף אדם
מתחייבת לא
על פי
לדון
מראה.
אף אדם על פי מראהו, לבושו או השתייכותו לחברה מסוימת.
אזהר שלא לעשות הכללות.
ואני אשתדל תמיד
לראות את האדם שמאחורי החזות החיצונית.
ביחד אנחנו יכולים.
ואפשר.
Hi, I'm Chief Rabbi Fry Mervis, and you're watching Rabbi Doug, and I want to give you very best wishes, kol tov to all of you. May Hashem bless you all.
So with our just couple of minutes left, as I came in here and before we separated, we had our masks on and we're in the middle of this pandemic. What are your words of wisdom to our viewers as we leave the show today, as we're experiencing this pandemic and getting through it and hopefully ending very soon?
Well, let me put it this way. I always say that Judaism begins in the home, not in the synagogue. The synagogue is an extension of the home. The synagogue doesn't replace the home. And the beautiful term, mikdash ma'at, the synagogue, the home is a mikdash ma'at. It's a holy place for the family to gather and to be together.
A miniature sanctuary itself.
Yes, Judaism has always been a mishpacha religion. It grew out of a family, from Abraham and Sarah to Isaac and Rebekah and Jacob and Rachel and Leah and so forth. So it grew out of a family into a tradition. And the most important thing is mishpacha. And one of the most important things during my retirement is to reach out to family. And thank God I can through the phone, call them, and there's other ways of keeping in touch too.
FaceTime and Zoom and all those things too.
Yes, there's so many different ways.
Yes.
So we can always learn how to adjust ourselves to situations. We can turn obstacles into opportunities and stumbling blocks into stepping stones and difficulties into delights. We don't have to be defeated by the circumstances, although there are trying circumstances. We can do something lamrot takol, despite it all. We can, despite the despites, I like to say.
Very nice.
There are bererot, there are choices, and we can make them and we can go on, because Judaism has always championed our reshut netuna, that free will is given.
Wonderful.
We don't have to be victims of circumstances. And this is where one of the great individuals that I took from the Holocaust situation was a Viktor Frankl. Man's search for meaning. We can find meaning in every situation, even if it's not of our own doing. We can take from what's been doing and make it something of our own. Wonderful. And this is the greatness about Israel, is that these people out of nowhere created a state.
Wonderful.
In dire circumstances. Just imagine if they had taken it more seriously from 1897 on to 1917. It could have been so much better, but it wasn't. But you had to make the best of the situation, and that's what we did.
Thank you so much for being on the show. I want to thank all of you. Remember, you can check out our website, www.tvrabbi.com, where you can also see former shows on the web. If you want to email me or email Rabbi Brief, info@tvrabbi.com. I will forward that email to him, and I know he'll get back to you personally. Rabbi Neil Brief, what an honor and a pleasure to have my friend and scholar and colleague on the show with us today. Hope to see you all next week, right here on Tape with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.
This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.